Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Zoom at 8. My name is Julie Ann Peterson, and I am your host every Tuesday night for Zoom at 8. As well, I am a loan officer, senior director at Old Capital. We are specialists in multifamily for lending. Now, we've been doing this for 38 years, and we really know how to get deals done nationwide. So if you're looking at an asset and you're wondering, hey, what is happening for the lending? What should I do? Before you come to me, and I'll take all your calls before this, but before you put in that LOI, you want to stop in at insurance broker. You want to talk up to your tax guy, the taxing authority, the county taxes, and you want to go to a property manager. Make sure that your assumptions are correct. Then, if your underwriting works for your investors, remember, it's all about your investors. Because if you are underwriting this at 2% returns, that might work for you just because you want to get into it, but you're going to be probably asking for some money. Not all of us have $1 million to put into a deal. So you're going to look for investors. What will they be okay with? You know, we've seen a huge difference just over the last 30 days on rates. The treasuries are up, and we've got another Fed fund meeting coming up in 2 days on the 7th. Actually, it's tomorrow. So we're waiting to see if we've got another 25 basis point drop. Again, that's the Fed funds. We talk about the treasuries right now, they're at 430, and they're baking in a presidential win for Trump. So who knows that? Well, we'll find out in the next day or so where we are with the new president. So in the meantime, we're trying to survive. When you have that deal and you want us to get you a quote, so you can go put it in an LOI, send over a T12, a rent roll, your offering memorandum, and your underwriting. And we'll take a look at it. 48 hours, we will turn a quote for you, and then you'll have all of the information you need. Okay, we are your biggest partner. Lender is your biggest partner. Again, we're going to look for partnerships with investors like you. Okay, you don't want to shop deals. You want to build a relationship. You know, if you're going for a facelift, are you looking for the cheapest? Or are you looking for the people that have a track record? You want to look for that surgeon? We are the surgeons in multifamily financing. So tonight we have Dawn Thomas, and Dawn and I are fast friends. Dawn works for Renu, and Renu specializes in both interior and exterior renovations for multifamily and hospitality properties. Their turnkey model supports owners and operators throughout the entire process, from due diligence and underwriting to material procurement, on-site supervision, and project execution. By emphasizing transparency, communication, and quality, they've built a reputation nationwide for delivering comprehensive solutions that enable ownerships and management teams to focus on their core strengths, which is not the renovation, but rather real estate, lease ups, and tenant satisfaction. So I want you all to know who Dawn is. Now, if you are brand new here and you don't know how to underwrite a renovation project, that's what Dawn is here for. She's here to get you up to speed on what and how much that's going to cost you. If you already know it and you're looking for a company like Renu, this will give you more insight. So do me a favor, before we bring on Dawn Thomas, go up to the right-hand side of your screen. There should be like 9 little dots. Give us the speaker view. You'll see probably my face here. And let's hear, let me introduce to you Dawn Thomas with Renu. Dawn, welcome to Zoom at 8. How are you?
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for the introduction. Can you guys hear me okay, Julie? You're good?
Yes, you're good. You're good.
Awesome.
Tell me, you are with Renu. You're in Dallas. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and Renu.
Okay. All right, so just a little bit of my background. I'm actually a former educator. All my education is in education. I've taught everything from kindergarten to sixth grade math and science. Taught for 6 years, stayed at home. I have two boys, stayed at home with my boys for 10 years, went back into the classroom in 2020 and realized it was a lot different, and so needed to close that chapter. Dipped my toes in the residential space, with roofing, outdoor living, so working on exterior projects um, sorry, that's one of my boys. Working on exterior projects, like outdoor kitchens, patio, pergolas, those kinds of things. Um, so
So what
here I
you
am.
figured out is that you
Mhm.
came to multifamily and figured out that we're really just kindergartners here and that you could really it was a good fit.
My kind of people, my kind of people. Yeah, so I love the commercial space. Definitely a lot of things I'm learning. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen, to a little more about us. So,
Yeah, so what I really want to hear tonight and what I want to introduce the folks in the room, because a lot of us are new and we're underwriting deals. I know that Guy has one and he's looking at how much is it going to be per unit. And I really like to focus on more so on the interiors because
mhm,
over the last 3 years, let's call it even two, there hasn't been a lot of underwriting going to, let's say, getting quotes to companies like yours. We've just been kind of high level. And so, what I
mhm.
really want you to focus on is helping us understand what is a light renovation, a moderate renovation, and a heavy renovation so that we know today, is it $5,000 that is going to really give this thing a facelift, or is it more like 20?
Right.
So, let's have you unpack that for us.
Okay, great question. I'm going to, before I start this, let me just make sure I am not tech savvy, but we're going to try this out. I believe it's here and share.
There you
All right,
go. We're almost there. There you go.
and then I got one more button to push.
And then you'll be there. Perfect.
Okay, we're good.
Yep.
Okay. So, gonna kind of introduce a little bit about our company and what makes us Renew. We're like what Julie said, we're a multifamily renovation group that specializes in turnkey renovations and capex projects. We have core values that we stand by, and that just kind of makes us a little more unique. Julie touched on transparency, communication, and quality. Those are our three drivers because we feel like when you build a partnership with other people, you want those three things in that partnership. So that's kind of where we are. We are full service renovation and restoration. We also have hospitality that we're able to do. We are market rate. So we offer for renovations and large loss restoration services to clients nationwide. So we are all over the U.S. We have 20 plus years in the industry, so there is lots and lots of knowledge behind this. There's lots of processes that go into the company too to make it renew. Here are our core markets that we're in. Let me see if I can move this. There we go. We currently have 130 projects in 22 different states: San Francisco, LA, Vegas, Phoenix. Those are more of our core markets. And of course, the DFW area in Texas.
So your main office is in Dallas. Is that
It's in
correct?
Carrollton.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So here's some of the things that we are seeing. We kind of just did just a couple of snapshots of what we're seeing and the direction that people are going. Here's an example, a couple of screenshots of this is a project that we've done in Yeah, in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. So I'll go through 2 or 3 other projects, but you'll kind of see the different trends that come with the different states.
Really important, guys, when you're thinking about, you're going to different areas. Scottsdale is not going to be the same as what you're going to see in Atlanta, let's say, as opposed to Dallas. Now, maybe on the A class, but we may be looking at C class. So how are we going to be working within C class? What is necessary? I know that, Dawn, you do a lot going from C class up to A minus projects. So again, looking at this, you can see you've got, it's really classy. You would expect that in, let's say, Scottsdale.
Here's another project that we've done in Florida. As you can see, it's kind of different. The colors, the trends that people go to, more airy whites
No
looking.
grays, apparently, in Tallahassee, Florida.
This one is in Texas. Here's an example of some things that we've done. Kind of those more neutral colors.
So are you still seeing grays? Can you kind of speak to that,
Oh, yes.
Dawn?
Yes. So grays are a typical go-to. It's grays and whites or blacks and whites. That's
Are you starting to see more natural colors? Because I've been seeing more like woody colors.
Yes, a lot of the flooring is definitely going to that. People are leaving their cabinets alone for some of them and just leaving the more of the wood brown look. If it's got good bones to it and we can bring things out of it, people are just leaving it the way that is. So yeah, this is an example in Vegas, a little more, like this one, for example, if you can see the cabinets in this one, the darker browns are in there.
Can we ask questions, Julie? Do we
Sure,
put them in
sure,
the
absolutely.
chat, or how do you want?
It's fluid. It's a fluid situation, Deborah.
Yes.
Thanks. I just noticed that some of these have the number of units on them. Like this one, for example, 376. Does that indicate that you did all 376, or are you just doing a portion that need to be turned over? How do you guys work?
Great question. So it's kind of per project that we're doing. Some of our partners that we partner with, they've got 10. So the way Renew works is we operate in doing 10 to 12 units a month. So typically we have, so we've done it kind of twofold, actually. We've had projects where they leave a chunk of them, like 100 of the units, to where they have kind of that diverse, to where people who can't afford or are just not in that stage that still want to be at that property, but may not be able to have that bumped up rent.
So more of a classic look, more of a classic. Yeah.
Yep. They'll just leave the units there, the way they are. And then we'll have them to where we renovate the rest. But we typically do anywhere between 8 to 12 units a month until we are starting kind of where we start as about 120 units. So that gives us that full scope to maintain the velocity and complete the work. So great question.
I have a question too, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Looking at the map, we had the locations all across the country. You had something like 130 projects going. So you have crews everywhere. You've got,
correct.
And they're all under you guys, or are they subbed out, or how's that?
So yeah, and I'll get into that. That's a great question. Yes. So the way we work is we have loyal labor. So they're paid by Renew, every 10 to 14 days, no matter where we're at in the project. So they don't go seek other, because that's the biggest hang up sometimes in construction.
Challenge. Let's call it a challenge.
Yes, is trying to make sure that you have crews that are committed and will stay around. So that is, they sign agreements with us for the life of the project. So great question.
So they're W-2 employees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yes.
That's a good selling feature.
Uh-huh. And we have, so for every project that we have, there is, and I'll show this in a minute, there is a superintendent and a project manager for every single project that we have, because we want that communication. So there's daily calls weekly calls that have the project manager and the superintendent to communicate with the owners of the property, of where they're at. And sometimes, so we start off weekly, and then by the time we're halfway through the project, if not even before then, they'll say, no, we're okay. We know what you're doing. We know you've got your stuff. We'll circle back in 2 weeks. So communication is super, super, super important to us. And we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
On those pictures.
Okay. I think that was it. This is where we're
Okay.
going to kind of step into cost and what we're looking at. So kind of at that, this just to kind of give a overview, there's things in here that can be broken down, like for example, appliances, the appliance package. Sometimes there's partners who we're with that are ownerships that do not need all new appliances. So that wipes that out quickly. This is kind of just to kind of give an insight of where we are at with our turnovers of each unit.
Okay, so let's kind of walk through this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a full C2 and A product, everybody, or A minus, these are your costs.
Right.
You're going to want to be looking at a $21,000 renovation. That's the cost. So I had asked Dawn, hey, what if we look at a 5,000? Is that reasonable to think that we can get a $5,000 renovation? So let's say we just want to stay in the C asset. Now, Renu does their whole scope of work, and what they want to do is take C to A. But just simply, I want to make sure that you all understand, take a picture of these. So when you're looking at doing a CapEx budget, these are a good guideline when you want to replace the countertops. If you want to do flooring, look at the flooring, $3,700. People used to say, okay, I'm going to do fixtures, I'm going to do flooring, I'm going to do countertops, and I'm going to do the lighting. That's not going to be $5,000 anymore today. This will break that down for you. So you want to make sure you're looking at and giving your CapEx budget reasonable numbers.
And how big what would this represent, the size of a unit? How many square feet is this? And
this is a 973, I believe it was.
So under 1,000 square
985,
foot.
sorry. 985 square foot unit.
And did you say this is a class C that we're looking at with these?
Well, these renovations you're going to bring in Renu if you've got a C, and you're going to make it an A. Okay. You're still going to have these costs. To put LVP in a C class is still going to cost you around $3,700. Now, if you're doing a 600, it's going to be a little less. But the most important thing I want you all to understand is LVP is expensive. It's gone up in costs. So do not put it down as $2,000. You're going to shortchange yourself. Okay.
Very true.
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead, Candace.
I know that you're all over the US, and I know, like, where I am, labor is extremely expensive in Massachusetts. Where is this based on? Is this
is Texas.
This is Texas. Now, would you say Texas is a cheaper labor state compared to other places? Can you like is there like a little bit of a percentage that we could look at, and depending on where we are in the country, that we could add to this or subtract from this as a
Oh,
reference?
absolutely. Yeah, we could put something together if you need me to send something like that to you. I'd be happy to put something together. I don't have it here, but yeah, it's definitely, there is a percentage of different areas, especially like up north or, and in
Los
Vegas.
Angeles is going to be more expensive,
Mhm.
but Dawn, is it true that if you've got your staff you're going to bring out to these places, are they going to be paid the current wages of that market? Are you bringing those people in from the market that is where the project is? How does that work?
Great question. So our superintendent and project managers of the jobs are already in those markets. So our laborers, they have already have relationships with the labor that are in that same city. And so that's why we're able to continue to turn units and have our crews ready, because they're already there.
Gotcha.
So we have 127 employees, and so they're stationed all over the US.
Okay. So again, this is a guideline. It's not in writing, you guys, but I
Correct.
think what I really want you all to see is you're going to start to look at these line items and you're going to be doing estimations. So this is a good place to start, whether you want, let's call it class A, B, and C, what the renovations would look like. These are A class from C class to A class, but it's going to cost you the same on the flooring itself, right? I mean, whether you put in A or C, it's probably not that much difference.
Right. I'm gonna go to the next
Keep
screen
going.
because I want to kind of something that I want you to kind of be aware if you have done renovations or whatever the case is. Renew is it is in our agreement that we finish turnovers in 21 days. And there's renovations that have taken 45 days, some have taken 90 days in other situations. And so we hold true to that 21 days because we're so process driven that we're committed to that. We have an internal date that we have that we meet internally, so that 21 days is guaranteed pretty much on our end. So it's in our agreement. But this is just kind of the cost savings. If it were to take 45 days and then seeing that Renew does 21 days, kind of the daily rate, the units, and then what it would cost, and it kind of shows the breakdown from it. So what is that, 24 days that we're going extra? So in reality, it's a $200,000 savings just in the time frame that we can accomplish it by.
All right, so let's walk through. We're getting into a deal. We're underwriting the deal. When do we call up Dawn and team and say, Dawn, I've got this project. It's a 300 unit building. We're looking at C. I'm going to be over there doing the due diligence. When do I call up Dawn to get your team over there? Will we walk it together? Do you walk through each unit? Walk us through that process.
Yes, great. Let me see if I have that on here. Yes. Okay. So these are some other things that I want to kind of go through. We will support you and your acquisitions team in your due diligence. So we have to make sure we're a good fit for you. You guys are a good fit for us, just because ours is the amount of units that we need to have turned. So we're making sure we're all a good fit. If it is a good fit, we want to support you during your underwriting. So we will, on our dime, go to the property, walk the different units, give you a full scope And so you can see see kind of the amounts per unit so that you can take that back to underwriting to make sure you're not undershooting yourself in whenever you're asking for a loan, basically.
Okay, so you've given us the scope of work and
Mhm.
we're into this. We're getting our loan. We told let's call it a bridge loan.
Mhm.
God willing, we've got a bridge loan, but we're ready to close. When
Mhm.
and what's the process for Renew to come in and start the project?
So it takes us, so once agreement is signed, it's 37 days by the time we're in there. So that's,
Okay,
so
so
that gets us,
I close and in 37 days your company can come in and start your renovations.
correct.
You're gonna renovate those how we decided, how we've agreed upon,
Mhm.
and it's gonna be done in 21 days. 37 days to get into the project, 21 days to execute and deliver 12 units per month.
Yes, ma'am.
Quick question about the 37 days. Is that
Yeah.
is that kind of what you have determined is to be your average, taking into account um pulling permits and having people come out and giving you the okay and all of that is that the permit pulling on the owner's part for this?
So that is getting everything set up. So that's putting the container out to hold materials or to see where, because we buy in between 30 to 45 days. We don't buy any more than that. Because we want to make sure that's just how our units flow. So it's getting us all prepped. Typically our permits, we're not structured to, our normal turnovers are not, we're not structurally doing anything, and we're not doing anything with electricity. So typically permits are not needed for what our renovations are, if that makes sense.
Yes,
makes a lot of
just
sense.
like lifts that you don't have to pull the permits for.
Correct. Yeah,
So
there's no
that-
HVAC going on.
Okay.
If we're not needing a licensed a licensed anybody
Contractor.
that has a license, we won't need to pull permits for anything.
Okay, and so, but you are able to pull permits, let's say you wanna move a wall over.
Oh yes.
install
Oh
a
yes.
wall.
Yes. That time frame is a lot different
Yeah,
because
okay.
then it's not in our court. We're waiting on the city. We're waiting on, how those move. But if it's fully in our court and there's no permits needed, there's no structural things that we're messing with, it's 21 days. Does
That's
that
a
help?
great guarantee. That's a
Mhm.
great guarantee. Yeah,
And
I
it
think
is
that's
in your agreement. And
so.
we paid.
But
Well, I probably didn't get to this. Hang on, did that next one? No. I don't know where that's at, but we've paid, well, maybe it was this one. Yeah. In the last 24 months, we've paid $0 in liquid damages because we meet that 20. We actually meet before that 21 days, but it's never gone over 21 days. So,
and you had mentioned to me that once you look at the scope of the work, your internal folks, the estimators, start to put out your requirements and get the best price,
yes.
for each of the products. So
Yes.
they're really scoping it out and figuring out what's going to be the best solution for the transaction.
Yes, and we get 3 bids. If you're doing countertops, we're getting 3 bids for those countertops. If you're doing cabinets, we're getting 3 bids for the cabinets. Things like door handles, doorknobs, all that kind of stuff. We have a whole estimating team that is dedicated to finding you the lowest price, so that, because even if it's a $3 difference and 120 units, that adds up really quickly. So there's a whole team that is dedicated to finding the lowest price for that product.
Paula wanted to know what market in Texas that example of those costs were. Do you know if that's Dallas?
Yeah, it didn't say.
Yeah, it just says Texas, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's
Yeah, it
probably
was-
Dallas.
Yes, it was Dallas.
Okay. All right, what other things can we know about Renew, and making sure that everybody in the room is very clear about what, again, I want you guys to walk away tonight to know what and how to underwrite these deals for CapEx. You need, in many cases, you're going to be going out and getting hopefully an agency loan, not a bridge loan, because bridge loans are expensive right now. But you're going to be capital raising for the CapEx budget. And if you're, again, thinking you're going to be going from even a C to a B, and you're only going to spend $5,000, that's not enough. Okay. So make sure you take a picture. Dawn, can you bring that list up one more time to make sure that everybody can put this into their files? And when you go to underwrite, these are some of the numbers you're going to need. Now, we always seem to put 25% overage into the budget. And then make sure that you understand the contractors are also, I don't know about Dawn, if you can talk about this, but do you also have a 5% charge on top of this to manage it, or?
That's what the general conditions is.
Okay.
If you look, that's where the on-site supervision is accounted for. And it would be a line item that you would see.
Okay. There was some questions about insurance. I think that was you, Paula, asking about insurance. What was that question? Let's see. What kind of insurance do you have on your crews? And do you have roofers?
Yes.
We do have roofers. Insurance on the cruise, that's a great question. I will definitely are you talking about like are they aggregate or like that kind of insurance? Like are they like certain like $1 million on?
Yes,
Yeah.
because these are your employees, so you may have an umbrella policy,
Mhm.
you may, just have additional insured. I mean, there's got to be some way that you streamline getting them added to an insurance so that, when I was rehabbing, I had to make sure that everyone had insurance, and if I covered them under mine, and, if something happened to them, I pay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out, since you own the cruise, they go from town to town to town. How do you manage that? Do you get it insurance for the market? Do you get insurance in an overall policy that covers everybody everywhere? How is that managed?
That's a great question, Paula. That is something that I will need to check with probably one of our superintendents would be able to answer that for me. Can I get back to you on that question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And also, I noticed the appliances look here to be high.
Yes.
During COVID, they were all over the map. They were hard to get and hard to match. And so I mean, if you want to kind of cushion that, that's understandable depending on the market and
that's a full appliance package.
Yeah.
So that's,
and you're not going to be putting in white. These are your stainless steel, right? They're going to be your microwaves. You're going to have your hoods.
yes.
This is high class. Remember, they're looking at C to A class assets. So that there's going to be some fluctuations there. And not every unit, we're going to have some classic units, but we need to fix the floors. So it's not going to be as high. So,
Right.
All right, Dawn, what else you got? Candace, you had a question.
Yeah, what is the minimum number of units per a complex that your company likes to work with?
Great question. So 120 is where we start, and we can do anything to 1,200. So it's a machine. And so it's very, very well run. And the reason why it's run that way is because we have those partnerships with our labor and our superintendent and our project managers, so that you have eyes on your project every single day.
And you did mention that you bring in like probably those like metal containers, those pods.
We do.
So we would have to take in consideration parking of those on the premises, taking up the
Right.
parking spaces and stuff like that to accommodate for tenants.
Right.
And when you're actually doing the work,
Mhm.
pods hold also the construction materials. I know you'll have some things, but you have to move around within an actual unit. So like,
Mhm.
how do you handle not disrupting too much of a tenant base at the same time of actually doing the type of construction?
Great question. So we work with the project manager at the office, and we look and see when units are going to turn over. And because we have such that short term of getting units turned, they'll tell us, hey, units A 231 and B 609 move out today. Y'all can get in and start the process. We've also used, I know we've talked about the containers and stuff outside. We've also used, if there's extra, like a garage, we've been able to put like paints and things like that, or kind of some of the bigger, maybe doors, if any doors are being redone. We use that space too. We try and utilize whatever we can. We really, really, really communicate and work together on what's best for your complex, because we also understand that it's a business there, and you're wanting your tenants to be happy and not have to park 3 parking spots down from their favorite parking spot that they like. So we definitely try and make sure that we accommodate as best as we can to fit the owner's kind of vision for it too. Does that help?
Makes sense.
Yes, and I have one quick question in regards to storage, because storage units are notoriously attacked for theft to take the items.
Mhm.
When you have a storage, that one of those bays or something like that, and it gets broken into, who is it the owners, because you're already been contracted? So like, when does it become the owner's responsibility? When it's attached to the building, or when it's sitting in the cargo trailer? Does your company or the insurance companies work with that if there's a theft on the premises with that?
That's a great question, and I'll have to get back to you on that one, because I would like to know that myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've had that. Candace is talking about it because we had that on one of our properties, and it is a concern for those exterior. I think if you can get as much into a unit as possible,
Right.
is much better.
Yes, and so the container holds a lot of our material that is locked up, like that's, yeah, I mean, it's a steel container. It's pretty aggressive in the security system behind it. But I do know, like, when we go to put items in a unit, we take a box and we'll put everything that is supposed to go in that unit, and we put it inside the unit while there is
Yeah.
somebody there turning that unit. So if they're installing light fixtures or doorknobs, it's all there for them. So they're not going back and forth or anything. It's all there.
All right, Bob's got a question.
Yes. Again, talking about doing the design work across the country, every region has their own look or style. And I learned that trying to put a California design in Oklahoma, and that didn't go over very well. So
Right.
do you have design teams? Do they specify the products? Do they do the design work? And how does that work to be able to do that many projects in that many different areas with all different looks?
Yes, great question. So we do, and that's part of our estimators. That's kind of where their role comes in play, because when they go to pick out doorknobs and things like that, they look at, okay, what is going in Phoenix, and this is before the scope is even decided on. Though you're picking out what you're wanting and the look that you're wanting, and so it is. We get to show you, hey, we can do this. If you don't like it, we can change it for this, but this is what we're seeing in your area.
Oh, okay, so you do kind of like a storyboard, you could show the
Correct.
flooring, that, okay, all the
Absolutely.
finishes, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
And do you, Dawn, do you do a step down? Let's say that A is, you're going from C to A. Do you
Mhm.
have different course of actions for, high level A versus,
Absolutely. Yes.
okay.
And a lot is like the fixtures. It's the kind of the accessories that you can change up that can really kind of change the price.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else do you have for us to understand more about Renew? I think
Okay,
you've done
so
a great job.
well, thank you. We have the restoration vertical and hospitality. So those are I showed Julie this earlier, and I think this is an amazing product. We've actually partnered with Aqua Walls, but with these later
Older
properties.
product.
So the later the 1960s, 1950s, asbestos has become kind of an issue where you can't really do a whole lot without disturbing it. So this is where Aqua Walls has kind of come in for some of our projects, and has really just taken that whole dilemma and executed it very nicely. But this is a product that we use, and it is so and it just basically it's acrylic. But instead of having grout that you're cleaning and things like that, you're literally wiping it down if you're turning a unit and you're done. You're cleaning it. It is super, super easy. You're not having to refinish anything. And they have trained, labor that installs it. And we've had customers that have just raved about it and have loved it. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen this before, but this is just a great product. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna throw this out there just in case if anybody ever has kind of that asbestos stuff going on that could utilize this in any way.
Is that like a panel? The
It
panel
is.
panels to fit?
Yep, and it goes all the way to the ceiling. So I think it's 9 feet or how I think it comes in different size panels, but it goes from floor to ceiling.
And then the corners there in that shower stall, how are they? Is it like fused together with an
It,
epoxy or something that makes it?
yes, they have it's a whole system.
It's
And
a
it is,
process.
yes, it's very nicely done. It looks super, I mean, it's
Looks polished and really high
yes,
class.
and you don't have to worry about grout lines because I feel like that when you're over time, the grout gets dirty. And then people who have had wanted to take out their showers wanted to take out tubs, and then you have all that, they want to put showers in. This kind of helps seal that area a little more too. So hope that's
Okay.
helpful for somebody. I don't know.
Yep. What else you got here?
I think that's it. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap, so to speak. All right.
Yes,
So I think you've done a great job explaining what it takes, what Renew can do, what the products are, what the expectations are. 21 days is amazing. Now, some of us are, just looking at 5 to 30 units. So again, this is to say, hey, this is something that could be out in the future, but know your numbers. There's a question here from Paula. Will your roofers do mansard roofs? I don't know if Dawn knows what mansard roofs are, but they kind of look like a barn in the front. They have the face of the roof is on the front of the
Looks like a hat on the building.
yeah.
I don't know.
I would think that your roof, I mean, most roofers are going to do mansard roofs. Do they want to? Mansard roofs they're ugly, and we stay away from properties that have mansard roofs because to make them modern looking. You have to pull those mansard roofs out. You have to redo the face of the asset. So there's a lot of costs associated with mansard roofs. You're going to find those in 60s and 70s, 80 unit building. So
I will say real quick, our exterior work is we bridge that together with our interior. So we're not just exterior, it's the exterior work we can do along with the interior. As long as we've got a healthy scope with interior, we can pull that exterior in.
got it. All right, let's open this up for any other questions. I think we've really educated the folks here. You're a great industry expert. You're knowledgeable, and obviously nationwide makes a big difference. You're not just associated with Dallas or some of the other markets that people are looking in. Is there anyone in the audience that has a question?
I do again.
Yeah, sure.
So sometimes coming in on a property, just in the syndication aspect side of it, already working with a key sponsor that already may have their head set in the way that they're going to handle it with their local people that they're going to be interviewing. Coming into something like that, how do you have like a presentation that let's just say I join in on another team? Like I'm thinking about another deal I'm in right now. It would have been really great to have you there because I feel like it's this cluster mess that's happening that's driving me nuts. I'm also a licensed contractor and it's driving me nuts.
It's a lot.
Future deals, do you have like a presentation or something that if I hook up with another sponsor that I could just simply say, hey, I've learned about this company, you want to interview them or something I can just like PDF I can send off to them or just to kind of.
Absolutely. I will say we are relationship based. So if you can throw me on a Zoom with them and build that relationship, that would be what I would prefer. But if you need to just have something like, hey, can you consider this? Totally get that. And yes, we can get something over to you for sure. But it's really building that relationship and listening to what is the hangups and what is your goal.
Okay.
How to be a solution provider.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. I just love it. I love that you can do it anywhere and you can provide from start to finish right out of the gate. You don't have to go and find all of these contractors. I love it.
Yep.
Paula, last question.
Yes. First of all, Dawn, I think your product is amazing. I think you're amazing.
Oh,
And I
thank
really
you.
appreciate that you're bringing this to us because it gives us opportunities for growth.
Yes.
And so I thank you. And I also have a question. Who on your team goes to individual cities and make sure you follow code? Because if y'all don't do it and then say for instance in Austin, if you change handles and they're not right, then somebody else comes in for a new builds and says you got to do it all over again.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
how do y'all keep up with that?
That's where we have our team that is already like the Texas area. We have our team that knows all those things, that's devoted to it. Just like
Not
just
only
like-
in the state, but in each city they know. Is that
Mhm.
right? City code?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, 21 days to execute it, which is amazing. Just
Yeah.
love it. Love. So,
Great.
all right.
Great
Well,
question.
Dawn, I'm so glad you're here to help us. Again, it's not necessarily you're going to use Dawn's because you're only doing a small renovation, but it's really important to understand what does that cost. So thank you, Dawn. I so appreciate it.